Hi and welcome. This is Sue Shields with My Florida Dreams, Mobile Home Sales and Rentals. We're located on the beautiful sun coast of Florida. One of the many questions we are asked is, can you get insurance on mobile homes where you lease the land? And how much does it cost? Today we're talking with Andrea King from Anderson & Associates Insurance Group in Palmetto, Florida. Welcome, Andrea.
Thanks, Sue.
We're glad to have you here. But before we get started in asking you questions, could you give us a brief history and introduction to your company?
Sure. So Anderson & Associates, the property and casualty side, was established in 2004. We are family owned and operated. We are a small agency and we treat everyone as family, and we specialize in manufactured homes.
Great. I guess the biggest question we're ever asked, and it always comes up, buyers from the north have heard that either you cannot get insurance or it's so expensive you can't afford it. Is that true?
That is not always the case. In 2004, a lot of carriers decided to back out of insuring homes here in Florida, not just manufactured homes. But that led a lot of home buyers to insure their home through Citizens. Since then, a lot of our insurance carriers have come back to the state of Florida. They realize that there's a huge market in manufactured homes, so we have some of the best companies that do insure them.
And why was Citizens the only company insuring homes at that time? I know others pulled out, but what made them stay?
They were actually established to insure homes here in Florida. They needed to go somewhere, so Citizens was created.
Were they backed by the state of Florida?
They are the state of Florida.
Exactly. Okay, so I live in a mobile home without land, and my insurance runs about $1,200 per year. What's the approximate range that a buyer can expect to pay?
So that is different for each person. It's based on their individual needs. Some homeowners may choose not to carry your wind or hurricane coverage, which does cost the most when you're looking at a premium. But policies range all the way from $300 to $100 a year for maybe a fire and lightning policy only with no wind. And then you could be looking all the way upwards to $1,600 for a brand new manufactured home with all of the coverages, including wind and hurricane. So it really is just based on individual need.
After Irma, there were a lot of homes in here that had carport damage and certain things, and a lot of them weren't repaired right away. And the word that I got back was it had a lot to do with high deductibles. Can you tell us how those deductibles work?
Yeah. So in Florida, we have two separate deductibles. We have your AOP, or your all other peril deductible, which would covered losses under that are like your fire, your lightning, your water damage, if you have that on your policy. And then you also have your wind or your hurricane deductible. And typically that is a higher deductible than your all other peril. A lot of carriers let you choose, say, 2% or 5% of the dwelling value. And some of them have a flat 5%. You can't get any higher or any lower. So again, that is very much based on individual need. So on a hurricane loss, you may see a $5,000 deductible depending on the coverage limits.
I know mine is $2,500.
So how that works is, the adjuster comes out and assesses the damage, and they say you have $10,000 worth of damage. They subtract that $2,500 from the payout to you based on loss, and then you can find your own contractors and such for repairs and work to be done. Okay.
If you do have a claim, is there an automatic increase in your rates?
No, that is a misconception. We did go through Hurricane Irma, and as much as the state of Florida, we learned from that as well. But we have not seen any rate increases for claims history on our manufactured homes.
Okay. And when they're figuring, the underwriting figures up what your rate will be, is that based on the main carriage of the house? What about lanais and carports?
So when we determine the dwelling coverage limit, Different carriers have different underwriting guidelines. The majority of them go by what's called a replacement cost estimator. We enter in data such as the age of the home, the manufacturer, their square footage. We can consider in any type of renovations or upgrades that have been done. And then their system kicks back what they say to replace that home with the same like, kind, and quality. And that's what we would insure the dwelling at. A few of our other carriers go by per square footage. They say, for instance, your home is 1,200 square feet, and this particular underwriter goes by $35 per square foot. You do the math, and then that's how the dwelling value is determined.
Okay. Is it necessary to have all this coverage? And how does that work?
So coverage is definitely unique to the individual. Most people here in Florida, it's smart to carry wind or hurricane coverage because that's going to be the first kind of loss that happens. However, with some seasonal residents, they may not see that value in the coverage and only choose to carry fire or liability or fire and liability. So having full coverage is unique to everyone individually. So what you may have wind coverage, your neighbor may not carry it.
Okay. I know I don't carry flood insurance, so if I wanted, I would have to get that added as a separate.
So yes, flood insurance is a standalone policy, and rates are based on what flood zone you're in. If you're in a preferred flood zone, or typically flood zone X, you qualify for the preferred rates. And then if you are in a flood zone, depending on when the park was established or the home was built, you may or may not need an elevation certificate.
Okay. And if you needed an elevation certificate, where would you get that?
You would have to go to a land surveyor to get those.
Okay. Is there a place that you could go online where it will publicly show your particular lot and whether or not it is in a flood zone?
So you can ask your insurance agent to determine whether or not it's in a flood zone. If you don't have an agent, you can go on to the county records. And especially through Manatee County, they have a link where you can request a zone determination or even an elevation certificate if it's on record already and wasn't passed down from an owner, and then they will tell you based on the address.
Okay. So tell me, what advantages do buyers have using a full-service independent agent such as Anderson's versus just going online?
So as an independent agent, we have access to multiple carriers for both the home insurance and your auto insurance. So if you were to go online, you're going online through each individual carrier to get a rate, and then you're getting all kinds of crazy emails and phone calls. But with an independent agent, such as ourselves, we do all the shopping for you. We present you with a few different offers and discuss that so that we can have that needs conversation based on your individual needs. But then also, most importantly, you build that lifetime relationship with your agent.
And I would agree with that from my personal standpoint. When we moved down here and we were not able to insure with the company that we had been with forever, we found you because you were close, and we're just absolutely thrilled that we didn't have to do any of that shopping or take any of those phone calls. You did all of that for us. You presented us with 3 quotes. We were able to just look them over and choose the one that we wanted. Not necessarily the cheapest, but best value. Things to take into consideration were those things we were discussing earlier. What deductible do you want? How much coverage do you want? Do you want wind? Do you want flood? I mean, there are a lot of questions to be asked, and someone such as yourself is highly trained. You noticed your card had CA after it? What does that stand for? After your name?
I don't.
Is it like certified agents? I
don't know. I haven't looked at my business card lately. I'm not 100% sure
what
it's after my name.
I know that you go to a lot of classes.
We do.
I have called many times and you're in class.
I am. So we have to keep up with our continuing education every year and recertify every couple of years. So that's important that we're always learning.
Okay. So just to recap, all of these choices are individual. It will be up to you what you need, what you want. If you want that long-term relationship with an agency, it's very nice to know that you have someone locally that you can go to when you have a problem, and they will help you get through the process. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and I would like to make a brief statement. My Florida Dreams does not pay or get paid for any of these podcasts. This is something that we partner with the people that are on our podcast for nothing more than educational purposes. So we hope that these are informative, that you're getting the information that you need to make good choices. And I'd like for you to join us next time when we will be discussing rentals. Where can you go to find them? What should you ask? What should you look for to make sure you're not being scammed? And we'll also discuss rental versus purchase. I hope you'll join us next time. This is Sue Shields with My Florida Dreams.